Hey guys, today we are going to be working on solving one-step inequalities when multiplication and division is involved. So in your inequality packet, we're going to be on page 5. You're going to need that packet, a pencil, and a calculator may come in handy. Alright. At the very top of page 5, you're going to want to write the note that's about to pop up on my screen. Here we go. So this note, okay? So I'll say it and then I'll have you pause it to write it down. When you multiply or divide by a negative number, super important word right there, the by a negative number, okay? You have to switch the less than and greater than signs. Otherwise your solution won't work, and we'll talk about that in a second. All right, so go ahead and pause the video, and then once you write that down, go ahead and play it again. All right, so we are going to be working through some of these problems on page 5. And just like before when we did the addition and subtraction, there's not enough room to squeeze all of our work in above the number line, so we're going to rewrite it below the number line. Okay, and I am using the touchpad on my computer, so please bear with my messy handwriting right now. Okay, so we have 190, oops, sorry folks, being less than 10b, right? We know from doing so many equations that we have to get the variable by itself, right? When we have a number and a letter right next to each other, that means we're multiplying. To undo multiplication, we want to divide, right? We're going to divide by the number in front of that variable. We're going to divide by the coefficient. So the number we're dividing by is 10. Okay, so even though over on the left-hand side over here is a negative 190, we're not dividing by a negative, we're dividing by a positive. So we're going to keep the less than sign a less than sign. And 10 divided by 10 is 1. So on the right-hand side of our equation, we're just left with the variable b. On the left-hand side, I hope I said right earlier, on the left-hand side, negative 190 divided by 10 is a negative 19. And just like we talked about in class on Monday, we want to make sure our variable is first so that it's easier to graph. So we're going to turn negative 19 is less than b into b is greater than negative 19. Because remember, it's a lot easier for us to graph at that point, right? So we're going to find the 19, we're going to put an open circle on it. Open circle because it's not an or equal to. And we want all the numbers bigger than 19, so we're going to shade to the right. Right? And we're going to check our answer. Right? Yesterday we were checking with the number 0, so let's check with 0 again. In our original inequality, 10 times 0 is 0. Negative 190 is less than 0, so we're good. We should shade it towards the 0. And let's look at number 2. We have p over 12 is greater than 2. Right? Now, this fraction bar doubles as a division bar, don't forget. So to undo division, we're going to use multiplication. We're going to multiply by the number that's in the denominator. So we're going to multiply both sides by the number 12. Okay. Again, everything on this inequality is positive, so we're good to go. 2 times 12 is 24. Okay. So we end up with p being greater than 24. And because the variable is first, we don't have to change anything. We're just going to straight up graph it. Okay. We're going to circle the 24. It's a greater than symbol. There's no or equal to. So we leave it as an open circle. And we want those numbers bigger than 24. Right? I know 36 is over here somewhere. Right? 36 divided by 12 is 3. 3 is bigger than 2. So we're good. We're going to come down here and look at number 4. Okay, 4, we have 216 is less than a negative 12x. And this time when we divide, notice our coefficient is negative. So now we're dividing by a negative. And if you look at that note that's at the very top of your paper that you wrote, when it said that when you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to switch the less than and greater than symbols. Okay, and we'll talk about that why in a minute when we check our work. Okay, so I want to make sure that I switch that. Negative 12 divided by negative 12 is just a single x. When we divide 216 by 12, we get 18. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. So we have negative 18 in x, but because we divided by a negative, our less than sign has to become a greater than symbol. Okay. Now, again, we want our variable first to make graphing easier. So I'm going to put the x in front. I'm going to put the negative 18 in the back. And then our greater than symbol needs to become less than, because if negative 18 is bigger than x, then x is smaller than negative 18. Which I know sounds a little bit crazy because we just switched it and now we're switching it back, but it's for two very different reasons. Okay. Now I'm going to shade to the left because x is less than negative 18. Okay. And here's why. If I choose 0 in our original equation, negative 12 times 0 is 0. 216 is not less than 0. So all these numbers to the right of negative 18 aren't going to work because they don't make this original inequality true. Okay? But because we've switched it, we're good to go. If we didn't switch our less than sign to a greater than sign, we would be shading to the right, which would throw us off. Okay? And we'll do more of those in class as well tomorrow. Okay, on the very back page of your packet, so this is page 6, we now have fractions and decimals. Okay? Again, a fraction is just a number. We're not going to let it mess with us. And we're going to look up here on number 11. With number 11, we have 19 elevenths times x. Right, a number in front of a letter is still multiplication. And that is greater than or equal to 3 and 31 over 110. Okay. Well, that 19 elevenths is being multiplied by the x. So to undo the multiplication, we're going to use division. Okay. So this is going to look a little bit weird when we write this, but it's what we need to do. So we're going to divide each side by 19 elevenths. I'm kind of squeezing it in because I'm running out of room on my screen here. And 19 elevenths divided by 19 elevenths is going to be 1. When I do this other division, the 3 and 31 over 110, being divided by 19 elevenths, and I'm using my calculator for this with the fraction button, I get 1 and 9 tenths. So x is greater than or equal to 1 and 9 tenths. Now, just like with the addition and subtraction, we're going to choose a benchmark that it's really close to because we don't have a fraction number line. So 1 and 9 tenths is between 1 and 2. And we need to think, is it closer to 1, 1.5, or 2? And it's just shy of 2. So we're going to put our circle a little bit in front of the 2. We're going to color it in for the first time in our notes today because it has that or equal to symbol, right? Which means that that number also works. And because x is greater than, we're going to shade off to the right. Ah, that just went awry. Hold on one second, folks. I apologize for that. Let me fix my pen mark. My arrow went funky. There we go. Okay, so we're going to shade off to the right because it's greater than. All right. When we look at the bottom of the page with decimals, we're going to treat them the same way. We're going to divide when it's multiplied, multiply when it's divided, and we're going to choose the best spot on our number line. And we are going to work on this more in class on Wednesday and Thursday when you have stations. Come with questions if you have any, and we'll start with those tomorrow before anything else. All right? You do not have to do any of the other problems in your packet tonight. You just had to take down these notes. Okay, I hope you had fun at NIU, and I will see you tomorrow in class. Have a great night.